What's up, guys? Welcome to Saturday Showdown, and spooky season is officially here, as you can see. I am your host, Doug. Brandon, Caleb, how you guys doing tonight?
Not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Still trying to get rid of this stinking
Yeah.
cough that I can't break for some reason. But not doing too bad.
Caleb, how you doing?
We're trying to remain optimistic here in Razorback country, but it's a little tough right now.
Yeah, some tough times, man. I expect a little bit more out of you guys. It's unfortunate, but I know you're going to keep cheering them on every Saturday, so that's all you can do. Hopefully, steal a winner or two here and there. But overall, guys, not doing too bad myself. As you see, spooky season's along. Brought the Venom mask tonight. It's that time of year, guys. Football's just full swing. We're in week 5. Next week we're in the mid-season. I think next week I'd probably think we should hit mid-season awards and some stuff like that.
We're week 6, right?
No, we're in week 5. No, we're in week 6.
Week 6, yeah.
We're in the mid-season. Fuck it. I'm sorry.
Halfway there.
Yeah, so we'll touch on that. I don't know why on my scoreboard I had week 5 pulled up. Don't worry about me. But guys, let's jump right into it. News broke today. The Utah Utes football team was gifted 85 Ford F-150s. Now, I want to just give a little bit of context to this. Yeah. And this is based on prices here in Ohio. Ford F-150, brand new 2023, goes for $57,000. 85 times 57,000 is $4.845 million. $4.8 million for 85 trucks. It's an absurd amount of vehicles for a football team. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' thoughts? Brandon, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the Utah football team getting all these trucks?
It's cool and whatnot, but there's some circumstances with it that aren't just, they're not just given a truck to have a truck to use. They have to stay on scholarship, I believe, and then they cannot transfer as well. Yeah. And the other thing that I saw today too is that they are responsible for any of the taxes and license, like any of the license stuff that has to be done for the vehicle. The player themselves are responsible for that amount that is due. But yeah, it's like a $6 million value with the trucks. They look really cool though. They got the Utah like all the stuff like for the whatever their little logo is, their motto, for the win on it. The trucks are cool. But is it going to be enough to keep anybody, to keep kids in Utah?
That's a massive amount of money for a truck. Caleb, thoughts on the trucks for the team? Thoughts on some of the parameters they have to follow to keep the trucks?
Yeah, that's big time for that Utah program. To me, it's I feel like they're really trying to raise the bar there. That's a whole new level of NIL, that we're seeing take place. And yeah, I mean, we knew this, NIL deal and everything would get crazy. But I think this takes it to a whole new level. The fact that every scholarship player on that team is getting a brand new truck, it's quite the reward. I mean, if I was a player there, that would entice me personally to stay. The fact that the university is leasing me a vehicle, especially think about those guys that are freshmen. They're going to have that all the way till they're finished compared to maybe those seniors that just get it 1 year. Now, I don't know if they get the option to, once they graduate, keep it, buy it out. Kind of, I don't know what that looks like.
Right.
But, I think those are fair parameters for them. Like, you have to remain on scholarship and everything, not transferring, all that. That makes sense. Like, especially if you're getting such a big priced item.
Yeah.
And who knows, there could be more details that haven't been released yet on, what they have to do to keep up with that. I don't know if they're going to put any type of stipulations of like staying out of trouble as far as, I don't know if they can kind of enforce tickets, speeding tickets, anything like that. But
right. I think, like you guys both said, I think it's really cool. I mean, obviously it's really cool, but somebody's fronting that bill, and that's the part that really drew my attention. Those trucks are very expensive. I mean, you're talking about damn near a $60,000 truck for 85 people, like you said.
Yeah.
Brandon, you said it ended up being around a $6 million ticket. I mean, when I did my math, it was damn near 5 million. So yeah, I mean, it's a very big chunk of money.
Yeah.
And hopefully that helps the Utah program, shows some recruits that there is a lot of money here in Utah and they're willing to play the game also. Any other thoughts on that, Brandon?
No, I just curious too, like where that $6 million, happen to come from to get these vehicles.
I mean, I'm sure they've got rich boosters and things like that. I'm sure they've got.
Well, and the article said it's not necessarily, I don't think specifically the university. It said an NIL collective. So what that means entirely, I don't know. If it's some maybe private partnership that's working with the university, that's a collective of, like you said, rich people that got together and really love the Utah football team.
Yeah, it's Utah Utah NIL collective, right?
Yeah. So the collective, the way I understand it, because here in Dayton they have a collective. It's called the Dayton Six for the sporting programs here. It also takes in funding from fans and things like that, and it all adds into a big pot, and that's the way they do it. So I'm guessing there's fans, there's donors, there's boosters, there's any kind of person can donate to that, and that's part of the process.
That's crazy.
Aaron Cass makes you wonder what USC squad would get. Give
them the bends.
It's really hard to fathom the money out there in USC and some of those other places, what they could do in terms of gifts. I'm sure now that Utah's made this known, we're going to hear about some other big gifts being given out, because this is also a recruiting tool at the same time. Like, this is a way to catch attention of players and other things. So don't be surprised if we get into a little bit of a gift war here in terms of NIL. It's just a very interesting time in college sports.
Well, not even that. You look at the thing that came out, was it yesterday? That they're trying to push this new law with recruits and stuff, is that you cannot on any unofficial visit, you cannot take any kind of pictures or anything like that in team gear. How much is that going to change things?
Why? That's one of the cooler things they do.
I love
those pictures are so cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but at the same time, how much of an unfair advantage is it that some schools can do that and some possibly don't get that opportunity?
Okay, I can see that.
That it puts that perspective inside of that potential athlete that you're looking to recruit. Where, hey, I didn't get to do this at this school, but I could do that at this school. Like, I was able to get inside the uniform, what it looks like. And most of the time, they deck those uniforms out to where they're like stuff that you're not going to see on Saturdays with the visor and the So
I mean, here's the thing. To be fair, with that point, if your school can't afford to deck out a jersey for a good, a big name player, you're probably not in the actual battle anyway for that player. That's just the other side of it. I do understand what you're saying. It is trying to make it fair, but we've not been in a fair recruiting landscape for a long time.
That's true.
So why try to make that change now? Caleb, before we went on the air, you mentioned you had a little tidbit about Utah on the field. Go ahead and tell us about the little tidbit you had there regarding the Utah Utes on the field.
Yeah, so some more news coming out today regarding the Utah football team. It was brought to attention today that they've been saying Cam Rising's close to being back. He's going to be back soon. I think they were expecting back a week or so ago. They suffered their first loss against Oregon State this past weekend, and it makes you wonder why it hasn't been back yet. Well, it surfaced today that Cam Rising in the bowl game last year, he came out and let it be known that he tore more than just his ACL. He also tore his MFPL, MCL, and meniscus as well. So 3 additional things that were added to that knee injury that weren't really let out by the university beforehand. And, they said it's similar injuries to like what Kyler Murray, Hendon Hooker, those type of guys had. And he said he's still working and that he's planning on trying to get back this season. He is practicing. He's ahead of schedule. But, that's, was released because he was expected back maybe a game or two ago, but he's still not there. And that kind of raised some questions, and that came out today.
Quick question for you guys about Utah, and then we'll move on. Thoughts on, is he out of time? Could he take a redshirt year for injury? I don't know what year he's actually in, but if they lose one more game, it's pretty much over in terms of a national or a playoff spot, or a New Year's Six bowl game. If they lose one more in the crowded Pac-12, if he redshirts, comes back, he's their quarterback going into the first year in the Big 12. In my opinion, they're probably the favorite if he's the quarterback going into the Big 12 next year. What are your guys' thoughts on him? If he has the eligibility, I don't know. I don't have that information in front of me. What are your guys' thoughts? Brandon, I'll start with you on Cam Rising. Just taking this year, it's a loss, but he comes back next year and he's ready to play their first year in the Big 12.
You could see them coming out as the favorites there. But there's still other teams you're gonna have to worry about. You still got, sure, TCU will load up. They'll do what they need to do to get back to where they want to be. Trying to think who else is there. There's Oklahoma. I mean, you're not gonna have to worry about Texas and Oklahoma anymore. So that'll be huge. That'll be a big thing for Utah. But they're still gonna have decent competition in the Big 12. So I could see that, but again, it just depends on if he's able to do that.
Right. Again, this is all more hypothetical than anything. Caleb, thoughts on Cam Rising? If it's possible for him to take the redshirt year and come back and lead them into the Big 12.
Yeah. So looking at it real quick, he is technically a senior, not a grad senior, not a redshirt senior. I think he's a true senior. So if he's available to take that, that redshirt year, I say why not? Gives him a chance to come back, improve his draft stock. I mean, this year's class is expected to be loaded anyway, so I would want to come back to begin with. But also, like you said, be one of the top teams in the Big 12 next year. Why not take that spot, especially like you said, if they come out and lose another game and you really take yourself out of bowl contention or New Year's Six bowl contention, college playoff contention, even Pac-12 championship contention, at that point, is it worth it? Take your time, recover healthy, even though it's had a schedule, recover fully, and don't push yourself too hard, and just come back next year.
Yeah. No, it seems like we're on the same page with that. Let me ask you guys, let's move into week 6, even though I thought it was week 5. What is your guys' game of the week? Caleb, we'll start with you. What is the game of the week for you this week?
I think for me, it's going to be Texas, Oklahoma. I think this is a really prove it game for Texas, just because I think if you look at the rest of the Big 12, this is the team that could give them probably the most trouble throughout the rest of the season. And I mean, it's always it's the Red River rivalry game, always a big game between those two schools. This could make or break Texas. If they lose this game, are they still up there looking in for a playoff spot, or are they, other teams going to jump them that may be undefeated or have, a loss that maybe isn't as bad? But saying that, Texas is ranked 12th, or Oklahoma is ranked 12th. So it wouldn't necessarily be a bad loss unless Oklahoma just skids the rest of the season and drops completely out of the top 25.
Yep. Brandon, same question. Since Caleb took your game, what are you going with?
I'm really curious to see how Washington, number 13 Washington State does against UCLA. That's one of the games I have my eye on, but the other one is it's got to be LSU and Mizzou. Yeah, the Battle of the Tigers at Farrat. It's really going to be that stepping point into what Mizzou really is, and rather not they can. Not saying rather not they can. I mean, they have Brady Luther Burden's probably he is the top wide receiver in the SEC right now, yardage wise at least. So I think that one has my eye as well. Not just being from Missouri, but I think it has a lot of implications on what kind of conference championship we could possibly see. later on. And there was a possibility, like I saw something earlier, it's like ESPN's going to freak out when they get a Mizzou, Kentucky. I think it was Mizzou, Kentucky.
That would be crazy.
SEC championship game in Atlanta. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. They're not going to like that too much.
No, that's a good choice. That's a big time football game.
Big game.
This is the moment right here for Missouri.
It is.
Is it legit? Is it legit? You're playing against a very talented LSU team. Yeah, their record's 3-2, but it's a very talented team. Are you legit? And that's the question right there. My game of the week. I'm gonna go another SEC battle. I'm going Georgia, Kentucky. If Georgia shows up and plays the way they played against Auburn, Ray Davis and the guys from Kentucky have a good chance to beat them. They're a good, talented football team. Georgia has to play at least their B+ game to win this game. So
I think they have to play their A+ game. They've struggled the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't know what level you're going to say they played at. I would say maybe a D+ against Auburn. It was not good, but I'm saying you got to bring that high level game to beat a Kentucky team that's 5-0 with a player like Ray Davis. You're gonna have to have that chin strap buckled up and ready to go. So that's my game of the week.
Plus, they're coming off a big win against Florida too.
Exactly.
So
let's jump ahead, guys. Go ahead.
I was going to say about that game, I think you got to look at it now with a close game against Auburn last week. Is that really what Georgia needs to, in a sense, wake up? If can they play better? Was that their game, their scare? Do they come out and take it to the next level this week, or did Auburn really do a good job of exposing that Georgia isn't what they normally are?
Yeah, I think this is a lesser Georgia team, but we're going to really find out against Kentucky. Let's jump ahead, guys. Brandon, you brought to us this week the what if top 12. Now, what are we basing this on, Brandon?
So it's just the AP poll top 12 right now. If again, it's like Marvel's what if, what if the college football playoff top team or 12 team format started this year. So here it is. So we got Georgia right now at 1. Michigan at 2. I had to fix it around a little bit, so it took a little time. Texas at 3, Ohio State at 4, Florida State at 5, and then 6 jumps down here to Alabama and Penn State. Alabama the 11th seed, Oklahoma the 12th.
Okay.
So we just figured we'd talk about some games. There's some freaking stacked games in this.
I gotta say, guys, I am so pumped for this 12-team playoff. I was talking to a couple people on Twitter about it. It's so exciting to get just more football. And I mean, look at this bracket. Could you imagine Oregon and USC play again after they're going to come to the Big Ten, and then they get stuck playing each other again in an old Pac-12 game. That's just some of these games are really awesome. Yeah. Caleb, what game stands out to you in that first round that you would be glued to the TV on?
I think looking at it, that Florida State Oklahoma game is intriguing as well, because you've got a team that's, one of the top teams in the ACC this year, took down Clemson. That's really the only team in my mind that stood in their way as far as, not making it to the playoff. I mean, they'll probably meet Clemson or, North Carolina in the ACC championship game. And then you got Oklahoma coming from the Big 12, and then when you just look at this bracket as a whole, what it's going to take to make it to that championship game, all these teams, it's a gauntlet no matter where you're at in that bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Brandon, what game stood out to you in that first round?
I like the Washington Notre Dame game. I think that one would be a blast to watch. It's not only you got the high-powered offense at Washington, but you also kind of have that with Notre Dame, but you also have Notre Dame's defense, who would be put to the absolute test against Washington. And I think if Washington were to win that, I think you would see them in the Final Four, because I think they would handle Michigan.
That's interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick them all the way down, guys. Oregon versus USC, the Pac-12 battle. Brandon, who do you got coming out on top if they played right now?
That's crazy. That's such a crazy matchup that we'd see right away. I'm gonna go. I'll go USC. I think Caleb Williams and USC would be a little too much for Oregon. but could be wrong.
You're talking about right now. You think think USC got is good enough on defense to remotely slow down Oregon? I don't think it's possible.
I don't know. That'd be a good.
The way
That's
Colorado came
a
back on them.
Good game. Yeah,
The way
that's true.
Colorado came back on them really gives me hesitation on anything USC going forward.
Right.
Caleb, who wins, Oregon or USC?
Give me the Ducks in this one. I think their high-powered, fast offense is too much for that USC defense. That they've got Caleb Williams. They can keep it a game, but if they can't stop anybody, then
right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ducks. I'm going to go Ducks also. Next game on the list: Florida State, Oklahoma. I'm going to pick FSU to win this one in a close one. Who do you got, Caleb?
Yeah, give me Florida State in this one too. I haven't seen necessarily enough, I don't think, from Oklahoma just to, Jordan Travis he's another one of those guys up there that if you talk about potential Heisman guys, he's another guy that's up there. He helped, Florida State get that win over Clemson. So in clutch time. So give me Florida State.
Brandon, who we got?
Yeah, I'd have to say Florida State in that Florida State Ohio State game the next week.
That's got money written all over it. Let's move on. Washington, Notre Dame. Give me Washington. I think the offense is just a bit too much for Notre Dame. I do think Notre Dame is very good. They proved that against Ohio State, taking them down to the wire. Give me Washington, though. Slight edge. That offense, I think, is just a little bit too much to handle. Caleb, what do we got?
Yeah, I think in this one, I got to go the Irish in this one. It would be a close, very tough matchup, but I like the skill and the game I saw from Hartman this past week in a close game against Duke, where he showed he's a little bit mobile if he needs to be to get that crucial yardage to win the game.
Yeah.
Brandon, go ahead. What's it gonna be?
I like Washington in this one. As much as that little hype video that Notre Dame put out today, the game winning touchdown was pretty cool, and it just shows how close they were to losing that game too, and how close they were to beating Ohio State. 2 weeks ago, a week ago. If it was another yard, there's a good chance that they would have got that win there too. But I'd say Washington. I think Washington's offense is just a little, like you said, a little too much for Notre Dame to handle.
And then the last game of the first round, Penn State, Alabama is a sleeper out of all sleepers in the first round. Caleb, what do we got? Penn State, Alabama.
I'm going to go Alabama in this one. I think Saban has started to really figure it out. They had that tough part of the beginning of the year. They came out last week. I think it was a good get-right SEC game for them as they started to really figure themselves out with what they have on offense. And that defense maybe not as dominant as a traditional Bama defense, but enough to get it done.
Yeah.
Brandon, go ahead.
I agree. I think that's where I'm at too. I don't think Penn State has a to be honest, they would have any chance against Alabama.
That's interesting. I'm going to pick Penn State. I think Penn State. I think their defense is good enough to make Milroe throw and not beat him with their feet. And I think the offense is good enough to press the ball down the field and run the ball. I think it's a really close game. I think it turns into maybe a defensive battle, but I do not believe in Milroe at all in a big game. So give me Penn State to escape that one. Next round, guys, it's going to be interesting. I think we had Oregon win 2-1. So we got Oregon, Georgia. I think 2-1 Florida State against Ohio State, 2-1 Washington, Michigan, and 2-1 Alabama versus Texas. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, guys. Oregon versus Georgia.
Ooh.
Caleb, go ahead.
I mean, just going off of what I've seen this year, I'm going to take Oregon in this one. I just don't think Georgia has the offensive game to keep up with this fast-scoring Ducks offense right now. Maybe if they had a better quarterback situation, but if we're basically, like we said at the beginning, going off of right now, I think you got to pick the Ducks in this one.
Like it.
Mhm.
Brandon, what do we got?
Yeah, I think if they get past USC, I don't see Georgia being able to handle the Ducks offense.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to go Oregon with you guys. Clean sweep for Oregon in the 8-1 game. All right, next game, Florida State versus Ohio State. Big money game. I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to pick Ohio State right off the bat. Just got to have the blind faith. Caleb, who you taking?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like you said, big money game here. Two, traditional programs here in this one. You look at both sides of it. I think in this game, I doubted him once, got proven wrong. I got to go with Ohio State in this one. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the best wide receivers in college football right now. I think they're starting to figure it out from quarterback play that slowly, as the season's progressed, they've looked better and better. And so I'll take Ohio State.
I
like it. All right, Brandon, finish us off.
I think Ohio State's going to be that team to push Florida State to the brink and to be able to take them down to move on.
I like it. All right, guys, this one is
just because you're an Ohio State fan.
Yeah, mainly. Mainly. I don't. Yeah, that's the only reason I believe in it. Washington versus Michigan in the 7-2 game. Brandon, you already said Washington.
Yep.
Caleb, what do you got?
I could go with Michigan in this one. I like the way that they're playing right now. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum. I think Washington comes up and meets their match in this one, and I think it's just too much.
Okay. I'm going to pick Washington just to get Michigan out of the bracket. It does seem petty, but get them out of here. Washington's offense. It comes down to, can Michigan slow them down? And that's the main thing right there. Washington, I do think Michigan can score on Washington, but if Washington has their way on offense, they will outscore Michigan. They have a better offense than Michigan. I think it comes down to that. Give me Washington to upset Michigan in the second round. Last game of it is Alabama versus Texas, the rematch. I'm going to take Texas. I think they're more physical than Alabama, and I think they have the better quarterback than Alabama. Give me Texas to win the rematch. Caleb, go ahead.
Yeah, give me Saban in a rematch here. I don't think he loses to the same team twice in a season. Especially when it comes down to, big time, it's a playoff matchup. I think he gets his revenge and, makes it to the next round in this one.
Okay. Interesting. Brandon, break the tie.
I'm gonna go with Alabama and Nick Saban. I think the fact that he's been there, he knows what's going on. He knows how they got to play. He knows how to clock manage these kind of playoff games, these kind of situations. I think Alabama gets the rematch win here.
Okay, that is interesting. So Alabama moves on for us in a 2-1. Ooh, it's
about something. The experience. It's about them being there before and knowing what they got to do to move on.
I get it. Okay, let's go to the top. Oregon versus Ohio State in the semifinal. Give me the Buckeyes. They have a similar level of explosiveness on offense, but they also have a defense that has proven it can grind out a game. Give me Ohio State to move on to the championship. Caleb, break my heart.
Yeah, I'm going to rock with the Ducks still. I like their high-powered offense. I like the experience you get with Bo Nix, a very experienced quarterback. They're high-flying right now, and I think they move on.
I assumed so that's why I was ready for it. Brandon, break the tie. Who's got it?
I'm going to go with the Ducks. Give me the flying V.
That's tough. All right, so Oregon moves on to the finals. Washington versus Alabama. I don't know how Alabama's still here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They have the worst quarterback play of the teams in the playoff. Who wins, Washington versus Alabama? Caleb, lead us off.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Like you said, their quarterback play is not up to par compared to Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies. I've got to go with Alabama. Just Brandon's logic earlier. They've been there. They've done that. I think Saban's, he's got – there's too much in his favor for them not to advance.
Yeah.
This is crazy. There's just no way Alabama does. They're not that good. This is crazy.
It's
Brandon.
at this point, it's not about being good. It's being how good you.
Their quarterback play is so poor that they're never going to get to this point. It's just not going to happen.
Right, but they're a good defensive team, and that's really what it's going to come down to.
They're solid. Texas ran them off the field defensive. It wasn't even close.
But we also have to be looking at a week 14 Alabama team compared to a week 3 Alabama team. I think that's the big difference here. Also, which is why they're able to beat the Penn State and Texas, and they're able to beat Washington.
Okay. All right. So you guys have Alabama winning.
As much as I hate it, at the same time.
Okay. All right. Then the finals of our bracket is Alabama versus Oregon for the national championship.
What a national championship that would be.
Ooh, boy. All right. Go ahead, guys. Tell me how this one shakes out.
I think
you might already know. Go ahead, Brennan.
I said I think you might already know. I'm gonna go with the Ducks. Give me the Ducks. Take the Flying V. Take that national championship back to Oregon.
All right, Brandon. What do we got?
So, I think here I'm gonna go with Oregon. I think Bo Nix, he played at Auburn. Didn't have much success against Alabama. He comes in here to this red hot Oregon team and takes down Saban in the national championship game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doug is about to lose his mind.
I'm gonna pick Oregon just because I don't think Alabama ever makes it this far, so that's fine. And I do think Oregon is a better team right now. They have a better quarterback. They have a better offense. Defense, you might give Alabama a slight edge, but I don't think they really showed anything that impressive. But yeah, I'm going to go Oregon to win. So Oregon wins the hypothetical college football 12-team bracket.
It's all going to change. So
yeah, I mean it'll be much different next year, obviously, but very interesting the way this shook out. Yeah, good for Oregon. They won the hypothetical championship. I mean, that's all that matters, right? Guys, let's move on. Week 6 picks, guys. Let me get you guys a quick update on the leaderboard.
Can't see him.
Oh, I can see him in the corner there.
Yeah.
Tough week for Caleb and I. It is interesting. Brandon is now 36-21, tied with me.
5-5.
Caleb 38-19, still 2 games ahead of us both. A really tough week of picks last week, guys. So you can have that's definitely reflected in the overalls. And if you look over on our pickem group, right now, Caleb is leading us with 33-17. I'm at 32-18, and Brandon is at 31-19. Shout out to Ted Ertl, Milana Sanders, John Yates, Daniel Quay, all at 35-15. Right now, we are giving away prizes, guys. We are giving away prizes. We've got to step it up. So let's get into it this week, guys. Let's make our picks. Game number 1, Oklahoma versus Texas. Brandon, who you got? Oklahoma, Texas.
Give me the Longhorns.
Caleb, what do we got?
Yeah, this being my game of the week, this is a tough one. It's an interesting matchup. You got Oklahoma with Brett Venables as a defensive-minded coach. It'll be an interesting matchup. Tough call. I think I've got to go with Texas in this one until I'm proved otherwise.
Yeah,
I'm going with Texas both. I think they got the better quarterback. Like I said, I love. They've got really good skill position players. They're taking recruits from Alabama. They would beat Alabama in the rematch. I'm not done with the college football 12 yet. Give me Texas Longhorns to beat Oklahoma. Next game, the Battle of the Tigers, LSU versus Missouri. I picked LSU. I don't think.
Oh, come on now.
I think Missouri is having a hell of a season. I have to see them win this game, and then I'm in. But I have to see it first to believe it. Caleb, who wins the Battle of the Tigers?
Yeah, I'm taking LSU in this one. I just think, like you said, until they come out and prove that they can beat, a team that's historically been a power in the West, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Coach Drinkowitz and his program there just yet. So I'm going to take LSU in this one.
Brandon, tell us why someone from the state of Missouri is going to pick Missouri.
Luther Burden. That's the exact reason why you're going to pick Mizzou this week.
Okay, interesting.
He's going to be he'll be the difference maker.
All right. Next game is interesting. The 4-0 Marshall Thundering Herd versus the NC State Wolfpack. Caleb, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup because you've got like a kind of, in a sense, a smaller team with Marshall taking on the NC State Wolfpack, who's had fantastic quarterback play this season. I'm going to go with the Wolfpack in this one.
Brandon, Thundering Herd, Wolfpack.
I'm going to go with give me Matthew McConaughey's fighting her or Thundering Herd. Marshall.
Okay. I just looked over the Marshall roster. They do not have Chad Pennington. They don't have Randy Moss. I'm going NC State. What?
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm going NC State. If they had those two guys, I would probably take them, but they don't. So I'm going NC State. Next game out west, Washington State, led by Cam Ward, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now, in the Pac-12 right now, versus the UCLA Bruins. Give me Washington State. I think Cam Ward is a very, very good quarterback. So give me Washington State. Brandon, who you got?
Yeah, I think Washington State is a good football team.
Yes.
As well. So give me Washington State.
Caleb, what do we got?
Okay, let's make it a clean sweep. Give me Washington State. They're playing some good football right now. Like you said, Cam Ward playing fantastic quarterback play right now. So clean sweep there for Washington State.
Next game, Alabama versus Texas A&M. I'm going to take Alabama. I think Texas A&M played pretty well last week. Max Johnson, the backup, played pretty well in his season debut for the injured quarterback. Give me Alabama. Brandon, what do we got?
I'm going to go Alabama. I don't see anywhere how or why Texas A&M should be in this game this week. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But give me Alabama.
Caleb, what do you got?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about last week with Texas A&M, but I'm going to go with Alabama in this one with Saban. They can run through A&M all they want.
Yeah,
for sure. Big Ten battle here: the Purdue Boilermakers versus Iowa Hawkeyes. Side note: Cade McNamara out for at least, I believe he's out for the year now. Caleb, Iowa, Purdue, who you got?
Yeah, just looking at this game overall, that is a blow for Iowa, for McNamara to be out for the rest of the season. But I think the backup steps in there and they still get it done against a, kind of struggling Purdue team.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do we got?
Yeah, I think Iowa's defense is still going to be the stronghold here, and they'll be 5-0 walking into, or 5-1. I'm sorry, walking into week 7.
Yeah, give me Iowa. It might be 2-0 to end this game. Without McNamara, the offense is not going to be good. But give me the Hawkeyes to win this one. Interesting game here. I don't have a ton of background on this one. Texas State versus Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. I took Texas State. It's a slight upset. They're plus 107. Who you guys got? Caleb, what do we got?
Give me the Texas State Bobcats. They've got a former Razorback on their roster, a pair of former SEC quarterbacks with Malik Hornsby from Arkansas, TJ Finley from Auburn/LSU. They've had a high-flying offense this season, so I'm going to take the Bobcats of Texas State.
Brandon?
We might as well just make this the MLB postseason wildcard round. Let's just go with the sweep of Texas State.
Woo! All right,
Go
next
Bobcat.
game, battle of the two ranked teams, Notre Dame versus Louisville. Do you guys think Louisville's legit? This is the test right here. Can Louisville upset Notre Dame?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So no,
Caleb,
the Fighting Irish.
can they beat Notre Dame?
I'm taking the Irish in this one. I like the play I've seen out of Sam Hartman this season. Just his ability to sling the ball has been incredible. The numbers he's been able to put up, and I think that defense is coming along. I think they learned a lot from that Ohio State game.
Yeah.
They really stood together, came back, and bounced back against a tough Duke team last week. So I think they continue to roll.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth there with Sam Hartman and his play against Duke, especially that final drive. Where it's something he couldn't get done against Ohio State, but was able to get it done against Duke. That shows progression right there, and that shows that he's evolving as a quarterback.
The thing that also amazes me about him through 5 weeks so far, the man still has not thrown an interception yet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, Sam Hartman's having a hell of a season. I'm going to take Notre Dame also. Louisville having a great year, just they're not ready for Notre Dame. Next game is the battle of the group of five. This is the big one for them. Fresno State versus Wyoming. Give me the Bulldogs to move to 6-0. Caleb, what do we got?
Yeah, Fresno State looks legit this year. Like they've got a good squad there. So I'm going to take Fresno State and the Bulldogs to win this one.
Brandon, you were shaking your head. What's going on?
I didn't pick them. I didn't pick Fresno State the last time they were on this list, and I'm not going to make that mistake again, so give me the Bulldogs.
Okay. Last game on our slate, guys. The TCU Horned Frogs versus the Iowa State Cyclones. Give me the Horned Frogs. Brandon? Horned Frogs, Cyclones. What are we thinking?
I think the big difference here is going to be the fact that it's at Iowa State.
Does that matter?
I think it does. I think in this game it does. TCU's not that star-studded team that we're used to. Iowa State's not awful. They gave Iowa a little bit of run for their money. So I'll try to get my pick back here. Gotcha. I'll go Iowa State.
Caleb, TCU, Iowa State. Is Brock Purdy walking through those doors?
Give me TCU in this one. I don't think they can compete here. It is a 6.5 point spread, so they're expecting to be a close game. Apparently a high scoring game with 62.5 over under. So no, they're saying no defense in this game. And I think I've liked what I've seen from TCU so far this season. And so I'm going to take them to win.
Gotcha. I like it. Yeah, I took TCU also. All right, guys, that is our slate of picks for the week. We'll bring it back for you next week, see where the records shake out. Let's move on, guys, to my favorite segment as the degenerate gambler of the group, the parlay of the week. I'm going to kick it off for you guys with my part of the parlay. Kyle McCord, 3+ passing touchdowns against Maryland. I do think there's going to have to be some scoring involved to beat a team like Maryland this week from the Buckeyes. So give me Kyle McCord tossing 3 of them. Caleb, talk to us about your leg of the bet.
Yeah, so I think last week really showed what Shooter Sanders is made of, bouncing back. Even though they lost against they had a bad loss against Oregon, they came back last week, found a way to fight back against USC and Caleb Williams, and it was quite the quarterback battle. As he's able to come back and put up some numbers, and I think he comes out against Arizona State that hasn't looked that great this year, and he gets 3 touchdowns. I originally was going to go 2+, but I've liked the way he played last week, so I decided we're going to go with 3+ passing touchdowns.
Love it. As the person who cost us our parlay last week, Brandon,
it should have happened. Gosh, dang it!
As you lost this podcast money last week,
yeah.
So explain to us your leg of the parlay.
Yeah, I went with the over under on this one again, but I'm gonna go over, and I'm probably gonna regret it again because it's Florida State, but Florida State can put up some points. So let's go over 52.5 in this one. Even though the last time these two played each other, it was like 24 to 3. But that was back in 2018. So it's been a while.
I do not love the way you're jinxing our bet already. I just don't love it.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta be confident sometimes.
All right, guys. So those 3 bets put together are the Saturday Showdown parlay of the week. We're at plus 552 odds wise. So we'll come back to you guys with you next week. Let you know if we won our bet. Guys, that's all we have for our show tonight. Caleb, Brandon, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Go Tigers, but I'm not going to tell you which one.
All right, the guy from Missouri wants Missouri to win. Not shocking. I'm not shocked. Caleb, anything before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, I'm just hoping we can bounce back and not look like a horrible football team. I know there's been an emphasis this week on shifting some guys around in position-wise on the offensive line. It's hard to get much worse than last week. You've got to protect a guy like KJ. I mean, as we saw last week, you can't do anything. A lot of people complain about play calling, but play calling doesn't matter if you don't even have time to snap the ball before the defense is in the backfield. Right. So we're going to see if Sam Pittman, the offensive line, one of the best coaches in the country, can help get this offensive line figured out.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
No, I'm looking forward to you guys getting back out there, hopefully with a little bit different scheme up front. Guys, this has been Saturday Showdown. Hit us up on the Variety Sports Network. We are at 417 in terms of subscribers, I believe, Brandon. Is that correct?
Yep, still 417.
417. Help us get to 420. If you guys know what we mean there. And then hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on all these places. We are putting out good content every single day of the week, pretty much. And we will see you guys next week as spooky season rolls on.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.
Don't forget to check out Home Field.
Home Field, 15% off your first order. Sorry. I was more worried about spooky season than the ad read. On to the next one, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Hey, this is Brandon, CEO of the Variety Sports Network. Thank you again for watching tonight's show. Best way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and hitting the notifications so you don't miss out on the next show right here on the Variety Sports Network.